Hey class, hey! In the last video, I showed you how to go in and enter your data and calculate that data for your budget. So remember, you want to do something like this to estimate if you can afford to live out on your own before you actually move out. Because you would hate to move out on your own and then learn later on after you've moved out and acquired all these bills that you can't afford it. So it's always good to plan ahead. So we went in, or I went in and helped you through this first part with the calculations. Now, if you scroll down to the bottom, we're going to do this section here. You probably don't have this, and that's okay. Well, I'll put this on, or I'll have you put this on later. But what I want you to do is scroll to the top of the screen and click in cell A5. A5 is right here. And before we begin the bottom part, I want to teach you about freezing cells. If you go into View, and you click freeze. You can freeze no rows. Obviously, that's what would be turned on now, or 1 or 2 rows, which would be 1 or 2 rows, or up to the current row, 5. So all these here would be frozen. That's what I want to choose. So if I click up to current row 5 where I'm clicked, if you notice you get this little thicker bar across the screen. Now, if you scroll down, all of the first 5 rows are frozen. So if you wanted to scroll down to the bottom and see what you spent every single month, you can do that. You can still see what month you're in. Now let's say that we want to scroll to the right over this way, but I still want to be able to see my expenses. You can go to View and you can go to Freeze, and you also have columns that you can freeze. You can freeze 1 column, 2 columns, and up to so many columns. In this case, we only want to freeze column A. So notice you have a thick bar going, or a thick, almost like a thick border going down the right-hand side of column A. Now, if you scroll over to the right, notice that you can see expenses are fixed to the left-hand side of the screen in column A, but you can go all the way over to totals. So if you wanted to see what your totals were for each one of these, instead of scrolling back and forth, you can see your total for, rent is $10,800 for the year, water $480, so on and so forth. So let's leave those both frozen. Oops, excuse me, sorry. And scroll back over to that left-hand side. Now, as we scroll down, the only thing you really need to display right now is this last row that has all the month totals and then the year total. So let's take a look at my monthly salary. Let's pretend that your monthly salary is $2,500. So you can put $2,500 in on the spreadsheet in cell, what is that, B21. The next thing, it says total monthly expenses. This is nothing new. You already have the total monthly expenses. Monthly meaning going down, January monthly, February, March. So we're just going to use this very first one and transfer it down here. So how do you do that? When you hit the equal sign, and if you click on B18, it's saying reference what's in cell B18 and put it into the cell that you are entering this in. Go ahead and hit enter. It'll bring it right down for you. So if this number changes, then this one will change automatically. Now they're connected. So when it says monthly leftover, you're going to hit the equal sign. Let's figure out how much we would have left over if our monthly salary is $2,500 and our monthly expenses are $2,465. So if you hit the equal sign and click on B21, that's where 2,500 is located, B21. Hit the minus key and then click on B22. So basically you're taking 2,500 minus 2,465. You're referencing the cells like you did above in the last part. You're referencing the cells where the number lives, so that anytime these two change, these will automatically, meaning the formula will automatically update. Go ahead and hit enter. So you would have $35 left over. So if somebody say, oh, I have $35 left over, that means I'm in the green. I don't owe any money. This is not a negative number, but you only have $35 left over. So are you putting any money in savings? Are you putting gas into your car? Do you want to go out to the movies? Do you want to buy yourself a new shirt? Do you want to buy a new video game? So $35, yes, you're in the plus, but that's not a lot. That's nowhere near enough to live on every single month for those other things. So let's move down here. This was all monthly. Everything here was monthly. So if we move down, this is now talking about yearly. Yearly salary. Well, if I already know my monthly salary, which is $2,500, I make that monthly. I'm going to multiply that by 12 because 12 months in a year to figure out my yearly. So in B25, type equal sign and click on your 2,500. That's located in B21. And we're going to multiply, but you have to hold shift and the number 8. B21 times 12. That gives us $30,000. So you make $30,000 for the year. Yearly expenses. If I look over here, we've already totaled up our yearly expense amount here. I just want to transfer that back down. So if you remember from earlier, if you hit the equal sign and you just click on that cell, it's going to reference what is in N18 and automatically put it down here. So now you have $30,000 for your yearly salary, $29,580 for the yearly expenses. So what's left over? So do the same thing we did up here, subtract the two. B25 minus B26. Hit enter. So you have $420 left over for the year. Think about that, $420 to spend for the entire year. That's hardly anything. So already this budget's telling you it's probably not a good idea. It's definitely not a good idea to move out. But let's double check our numbers here. Equal sign. I'm just going to use this empty cell as like a calculator in a sense. I'm going to click on 420 and I'm going to divide that little forward slash. It's down by your shift key on the right hand side. I'm going to divide that by 12 months because this is yearly. What is it going to be monthly? Well, we already know it's 35, but I want to double check. And that is correct. So that would be $35 a month you have to spend, leisure, $35, fill your gas tank, those kind of things. So right now, like I said, you can see it's definitely not a good idea to move out. All right, let's move over to this side. When you're in math class, to find an average of a number or numbers, you would add them all up and then divide by how many numbers there are. So you don't really have to do that in Excel because Excel is programmed to use the word average to do that for you. So let's see what our average monthly expense is. If I hit the equal sign and type the word average, then put in a parenthesis, average automatically will add up all the numbers that I select and divide by how many. But I have to tell Excel what numbers I want to find the average of. So let's just go over to January since it's the very first month. Equal sign average parenthesis, and let's select B6 all the way down to B17. You never take the average of a total. Make sure you don't include that one. Close your parenthesis and hit enter. So on average, my expense, I pay $205.42. Least expensive expense. Now we don't have that many. We could probably pick it out, but let's let Excel pick out my least expensive expense. So equal sign and least is programmed in Excel. You have to use min. Equal sign min and select the same cells, B6 through B17. Close your parenthesis and hit enter. So my least expensive expense is $35 according to the January month. Equal sign, let's do most. So if least is min, you're probably guessing most would be max. That's correct. Equal sign max, parenthesis. And let's select B6 going all the way down to, B17. Close your parenthesis and hit enter. So your most expensive expense is $900, which is obviously your rent. Okay. How many expenses? I want to know how many expenses I have in total. Do I pay 4 expenses? Do I pay 10 expenses? How many are there? And I'm going to allow Excel to do the counting for me. So the function that you're going to use, equal sign COUNT. Count counts numbers. It doesn't count text. So if I use equal sign count, I have to make sure that I'm selecting numbers. And I'm going to show you how it doesn't work with text. But first, let's do it correctly. Select B6 going down to B17. I close my parentheses and hit enter. It calculates that I have 12 expenses. And you can see that by counting from food up to rent. There are 12. But let's say that I did this. I'm going to click on that cell, that G24 cell, and hit equal sign. And I'm going to type count again, open parenthesis. And I'm going to go and count, oh, here are my expenses, A6 through A17. Close my parentheses and hit enter. I get 0. It counted 0 because count only counts numbers. These expenses are not numbers, they're words. So it's not counting anything over here. So you have to make sure that when you use equal sign count, you are using numbers. Now some of you say, well, what if I wanted to count, or can I count expenses, meaning by words? Sure. If you use equal sign COUNT and you count, or I'm sorry, you use the A afterwards. Count A will count all the cells regardless of what's in them. So count A, parenthesis, and select rent, which is A6 down to A17. Close that parenthesis and hit enter. So now it counts for you because count A counts all cells except blank cells. Okay, now moving on. Down here at the bottom, I'd like for you to take a look at the little sticky note. It says, don't forget, and it's spelled wrong, don't forget to apply the 50-30-20 rule. So right here, expenses, we're going to type expenses, and don't worry if you don't have the borders. I-29. Expenses, let's type leisure and then savings. Expenses, we know we shouldn't spend more than 50%. Oops. 50% of our income on expenses, 30% on savings, and 20% on, or we should put 20% in savings every month. Okay, so we're going to skip this column and come over here to L. I want to know what 50% of my expenses are. So to do that, I'm just going to hit the equal sign, and or 50% of my income would be for expenses. That's what I should say, and I apologize. So I know my monthly salary, meaning the amount of money, my income that I bring in every month, is listed here. So I'm going to click on cell B21, and then I'm going to multiply that Shift 8 by the 50% so I can see how much money I shouldn't go over my expenses. Voila, 1,250. Right there, you can see, and I can see, that my expenses are 2,465. If I shouldn't be spending more than 1,250 on expenses, I'm way over what that 50% threshold. So it looks, again, definitely a bad idea to move out. Now expenses, let's do the same thing just so we can see. Equal sign B21, Shift 8 for the times, and we'll use 30% because we have the number in its own cell. Hit enter. 750, I shouldn't spend any more than $750 on leisure. Well, I only have 35 bucks left over for the month, so how in the heck, I wouldn't be able to spend over 750, which would be obviously good there, but then that leaves me hardly any money to put in the savings. So equal sign, let's use our monthly salary, B21 times the 20%, hit enter. I should be saving $500. Well, I don't even have $500 to save every month. So it really looks like a bad idea if for me to move out. So I would hang tight on moving out at this point. Sure that you turn your assignment in to Google Classroom once you have finished calculating along with me. Make sure that you understand how to enter in formulas and how to use the different functions like average, min, max, and count. And in addition, make sure that you understand the importance of budgeting prior to moving out so that you have a better handle on your finances. If you scroll back to the top,